Alright, for this one we're going over some volumes. So for number 1, find the volume of both a right cylinder and right cone with a radius of 4 inches and height of 7 inches and compare the answers. So down below here I have both of those pictures drawn one within another, so it's easier to compare how those values might compare to each other in terms of the actual answers. So this type of picture would not necessarily be drawn on a problem, just depends on what you're given. So here in this case we had the radius was 4 inches, so that means from the center out to a point on the circle of that base would be the 4 inches. And then height is 7 inches, so that would be along the side here. So here for the cylinder part, so I'll abbreviate cylinder here as CYL, we would have that the volume is equal to, and then we have pi times our radius squared, which is the 4. So that part there is the same as the area of a circle, pi r squared. And then you also have to multiply it times the height is the extra part for the cylinder. So the area of a circle, pi r squared, times the height. So here for our cylinder here, if we write it in terms of pi, if we do that 4 squared, which is 16, times the 7, we'd get 112 pi. And our units would be in terms of inches to the 3rd power, or cubic inches, since we're finding volume. Or if it asks for an approximation with your pi being equal to 3.14, it would be approximately equal to 351.68. And same units there, your cubic inches, or inches to the 3rd power. And then if you're finding it for the cone instead, it's going to look very similar. Only real difference here is that this volume is going to be 1/3 of it. Or you can do the answer divided by 3 as another way of thinking of it. So you'd have 1/3 times your pi r squared. So the pi times the 4 squared, and then times the height, which was the 7. So here in this case, we would have 112, but it'd be over 3 this time, pi, and then cubic inches. And then like normal, anytime whenever you're dealing with a fraction, you want to make sure to simplify it if you can. Here in this case, 3 does not go into the 112, so we can't simplify that. Or if you wanted us approximation with pi being equal to 3.14 approximately, we would have about 117.23. And once again, it'd be cubic inches. So here the cone is 1/3 of the volume of a cylinder. So you can picture it as about 3 of those cones fitting into a cylinder with the same radius base. For number 2, this one we're just finding the volume of a pyramid. And this one has a square base with lengths of 10 feet and height of 20 feet. Once again, the units may or may not, well, the units will be there, more than likely, but the picture may or may not be. So here we have a base with 10 feet, so that means 10 is the length and the width for the base, because it is a square base here. And then the height is 20 feet, so that means if we're going from the top down to the base here, and then we form that right angle, that would be what the 20 would be. So in terms of our formula here, for the pyramid, we have 1/3, because that's 1/3 of the volume of an entire rectangular prism, times And then to find the area of the base here, we'd do the 10 times 10, or 10 squared, either way works, times then the height. So it's like your length times width times height, except for this time, whenever we're multiplying those, we also have to multiply by 1/3 since it's not an entire box, it's just the pyramid part. So here, one way to write this out would be as 2,000 over 3. Or if we get an approximate answer here as a decimal, it'd be about 666.67. And in this case, we were dealing with feet instead of inches, so we would have cubic feet this time. And make sure anytime you have a unit that you include those. And if you do have questions on any of this, make sure to ask like normal.